One of the biggest mistakes I see in network marketing is people who talk way too much about themselves, their product, or their company. This actually repels people from you rather than attracting them to what you're doing. One of the best approaches I learned years ago to set you apart from other people in this industry is called forming. This is an approach that is all about building rapport and getting the other person to talk and getting the focus off of you and your agenda. FORM is an acronym that stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, and Motivation. The FOR part helps build rapport and connection before you dive into the M, what motivates the person. When you find out what truly motivates a person, you can better connect with them and link what you have to offer to what they need and want. I use forming in business conversations with my kids, with my husband, and also with my friends. This simple exercise has helped me develop a skill set in the lost art of listening. What is the number one thing people want to talk about? Themselves, not your products, not your opportunity, or your brand. They want to talk about themselves, and they are desperate for someone to listen. Here's some great forming questions, but remember, I'm going to give you lots of ideas, but you would never run with all of them in a single conversation, or it's going to sound like you're playing the old game of 21 questions and you won't connect at all. So F stands for family. Ask about the other person's family and let them tell you a little bit about it, and then try to make some connections with yours. Something like, tell me about your family. What was it like growing up the only girl or boy in the family? How did you meet your husband or wife? What's it like having twins? Where did you grow up? Do you still have family there? Why did you move? Those are all great questions regarding your family. O is for occupation. Ask about what they do for a living. Make small connections with your business or experience, but don't use this as an opportunity to pounce on them or throw up on them. This is the place where the conversation typically breaks down for people. When you ask someone, what do you do? And they start telling you, eventually a social alarm goes off for them after they've told you that says, oh shoot, I have been talking for 10 minutes straight about myself and I don't even know what this person does. So when they turn and ask you, answer really briefly, but then divert it and ask another question. Like, tell me about your job or business. What's the best part of your job? What is the most challenging part? Why did you choose that job or profession? What would you tell someone just starting out in your profession? Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? Then move on to R. R is recreation. Ask them about what they do for fun, sports, hobbies, volunteering, kids activities, and maybe talk about the things that you have in common or that you would like to possibly try one day. What do you like to do in your spare time or for fun? How did you get into that? What did you do for fun as a kid? What is your favorite type of food, or what's your favorite restaurant? And then that brings you to the M for motivation. Ask questions to determine what is the most important thing to the other person. Aside from work and recreation, what is really important to you? If you didn't have to work, what would you do with your time? If time and money were no object, what would you do? What in the past has made you the happiest? If you were given 5 minutes to talk with the president, what would you say? If you had a month to live, what would you do? If you could do X all over again, what would you do differently? What skill does forming teach you? It actually teaches you how to ask questions and become a dynamic listener. It helps you to care more about your prospect than you do about the sound of your own voice. So often we can dominate the conversation with a sales pitch or rambling on and on about ourselves. We have to become more self-aware if we want to connect with people and increase our influence with them. No one likes someone who is clueless about how much they talk, or who never really shows interest in their world but seems to always have a lot to say about their own stuff. Their answers are going to be golden if you'll just listen, which I'm going to show you in a minute what to do with those answers. A good rule of thumb to live by is this: the person asking questions is in control of the conversation. If you find yourself being the one talking the most, you've actually lost control of the conversation. Forming allows you to strategically guide the conversation to see if there is anything there. The answers that you'll hear from people, as I mentioned, they are golden nuggets that will help you get to know if what you have to offer could be a fit for them. Let me show you the next step of forming. So when you form someone, you're doing it to find their sign, which is their strength, interest, their goal, or their need. Finding a sign is like treasure hunting. I love this part of the conversation. You use the answers from your forming to uncover their strengths, interests, goals, and needs. And I like to think of this kind of like everyone that I meet has a neon sign on their forehead. And everyone's got one. It's a flashing sign saying, I have a need, I'm good at something, I'm interested in specific things, and I have goals that are unmet. It's yours and my job to discover it through asking questions. So ultimately, the main purpose of forming is to find out about them and what their needs are, and then to see if your product or business plan is a good fit for them. Something magical happens when you help someone verbalize their pain points and their needs. It's at that point that they are way more open to hearing a possible solution than if you just started right out with it and blasted them with it, saying, I think you should look at this opportunity. Why would they even think to look twice about it unless maybe you're the most influential person on the planet and people will do whatever you say? But people look at your products and opportunity because of themselves, because they have a need that it could possibly help fix. Or they're wired in a specific way that would enable them to do really, really well at this. Or maybe they have a dream or a goal and they can't resource it in their current job. By getting them to verbalize it, you put their sign out in front of them, and then you're able to more easily have a conversation with them about what you're doing that doesn't feel pushy or salesy. Forming and finding a sign is a skill that, as you develop it, will carry your business further than anything else. You will use this in a class setting, with the person you meet in the elevator, when you grab a coffee with a friend, and even with your spouse or kids. This single skill is what separates the successful from the not so successful in this industry, because it really helps increase your influence with people. Again, no one likes someone who knows it all or talks too much, so don't be that person. Start asking questions and listening, and as a result, your business will grow.